Hey, get money all day, get money all night. Sip my drink, ho, let's get right. Getting paid, I'm getting
Hey,
paid.
what's up, Cowboys Nation? It's your boy Ray, the new host of Ray Ray's Cowboys and also Ray Ray's podcast. Hey, real quick, make sure you like it, subscribe it, and follow into all things Ray Ray's Cowboys. Get all your Cowboys needs this training camp and all through the season. If you like stuff outside of Dallas Cowboys football, go follow me at Ray Ray's podcast. Okay. First day of training camp is in the books. Brian Schottenheimer had a press conference. We're going to dive into all that. Let's get into it. All right. So, like I said, again, hey, make sure you like and subscribe and following all the channel, all the content we got going on between here and Ray Ray's podcast. It's right there down below. Oh, man. So, yesterday we had day one of training camp. Also, we said Brian Schottenheimer, he had a press conference, which there was a lot of notes in that press conference I kind of want to break down for y'all and talk about some of the things that's been transpiring so far in Cowboys Nation so far since we started training camp, okay? So let's talk about some of the transactions and moves Dallas has made so far. Let me get this on the screen here for everybody. Um, so Dallas has worked out a couple of days ago. They worked out some defensive ends when they first reported to Oxnard. James Houston was one of those guys. And there's about two other guys that were pass rushers they worked out. Okay, so the Cowboys made some transactions yesterday. They signed defensive end James Houston. They released another defensive end as a corresponding roster move. Okay. Also, the club made these following transactions, which a lot of this stuff were expected to happen anyways. All right. They placed on the active and physically unable to perform list cornerback Josh Butler. Trevon Diggs was re-expected, which, his name has been hot in the media right now. And, of course, linebacker DeMarvion Overshawn, okay? Then they placed on the active non-football injury list cornerback Chavon Rivel. So he's going to start off on that list. Hopefully he gets ramped up and gets into camp here real soon, okay? So let's dive in while we're here. Let's talk about, kind of talk about James Harrison. I'm sorry, James Houston. Forgive me. We just signed, all right? So let's pull this up here on the screen for you guys. So James Houston, he's the newest defensive end for the Cowboys. He had a career year as a rookie in 2022 with 8 sacks. That season, he was tied eighth in pass rush win percentage. And guess he was tied with Micah Parsons on our team. That's per PFF. Some people don't like PFF. Some people like PFF. So you can take that however you want to take that. But he was tied with Micah Parsons in pass rush win percentage. So you see right there on the little chart I got there for you, okay? He was a 6th-round pick by the Lions in 2022. Houston had 8 sacks in 7 games in his rookie year. But just 1 sack in 13 games since. So, like I said, in a corresponding move, the team has released the other defensive end they had there. Um, and also, Schottenheimer had a quote in his press conference about James Houston. He says, "This is going to be a physical ass camp. Excited to get him out here." All right. So, the Cowboys, I feel like they've already had a great pass rush room as it is. They're adding the guy that was able to do some stuff early on in his career. Hasn't been quite active since early on in his career. Let's see. Sometimes competition brings the best out of these players. Perfect example last year. Everyone thought Carl Lawson wasn't going to do too much. He actually contributed last year when we had Micah Parsons out for injury. Marshawn Nealon was out. And, of course, Sam Williams missed the season. So I guess bring competition. Man, he's got an uphill battle to fight. Hopefully he can, hopefully he can find a spot on here. Maybe if he doesn't make the roster, he's one of those guys. Maybe they can stash away on their practice squad, okay? So let's talk about this press conference Brian Schottenheimer had. I don't know if you were like me trying to watch it on YouTube from the Cowboys channel. That thing was glitching. It was buffering for about like 30 minutes. They had that dude looking like an old TV set on that press conference online. But let's dive into some of the notes. Um, from the press conference and some of the things he had talked about. Okay, one of the first things that really came to mind, but I forgot to put it here on my notes, but I'm gonna read it off to you here. When Brian Schottenheimer was talking about Jake Ferguson, okay, so Brian Schottenheimer, um, when he was talking about Jake Ferguson, he said I have zero doubts that his production will get back to where it was the year before. I think it was one of those one off years that was more of a fluke than anything. So, last year Jake Ferguson, he had a concussion issue. He had some other injury issues, so he really quite performed the way Jake Ferguson performs. I think this is going to be a big year for Jake Ferguson, Iceberg Ferg, as I like to call him. Um, Contract year. We know a lot of guys perform well in a contract year. This is a contract year for him. And if you remember my last video when I was talking about the Cowboys, me jump the line and go ahead and sign some other upcoming free agents before they get the Micah deal done. That was the name I threw out there. I think he's going to benefit well because one, the Cowboys traded for George Pickens, who's going to be on the outside. CD's going to be in a slot. So, Dak likes to operate in that seam. Jake Ferguson in the middle. I think that can open up a lot for him and a lot of opportunities because someone is going to be open. I feel like at all times on his team, and if Jake Ferguson has the opportunity, I think he's going to take the best of that opportunity. He's going to do his thing with it. So I think it's going to be a really big year for him. Also, too, Clayton Adams. When Clayton Adams was when he was in Arizona, McBride really started turning the corner there and making his name as a good tight end. So, I think that can help Jake Ferguson as well too. Okay, so let's get into some of these other notes from the press conference. All right, let's start off here. This is, like I said, notes from Coach Schottenheimer's press conference on the 22nd, first day of training camp before training camp started. All right, I would be very, very disappointed if it wasn't a competitive deal. No one should be given a spot. We need to push Dak. We need to push Tyler Booker. We have a shit ton of football to be played. Brian Schottenheimer, he also added that he hopes that it's the most competitive training camp there is. From that piece right there, man, that's a lot right there. He's saying nobody's job is safe. You all need to prove it. So I think it's going to be a very physical camp. I think everyone is going to have to earn their keep and earn their due on this roster. And with that being in mind, I'm curious how much of these starters are going to play in the preseason because we're implementing a new offense and a new defense. But also, you got to make sure you don't get those guys injured because we've lost a lot of players in training camp to injury of many, many years. I think Sean Lee one year, we lost him in camp. More recently, Sam Williams, we lost him in camp. I think Deron Bland had got hurt recently in camp. So you don't want these guys to risk being hurt. But at the same time, we got to get them acclimated. We got to get them familiar with these new systems, ready to go week one. Because week one, we got those Philadelphia Eagles, the defending Super Bowl champions. We got to win as many games as possible early on in the season because the back half of that season is stacked. It's a juggernaut. It's a gauntlet. So we got to come out firing guns blazing, okay? Another thing that was very interesting to me from this press conference, Brian Schottenheimer says that defensive tackle Mozzie Smith is lighter and will start out as a one. So that means, he's going to take on, those double teams still. That's what he was known for in college. That's what made him great because had that strength and was able to take on those double team blocks. Hasn't been the case so far this year in his pro career. But could play in different spots because of the scheme. He credits the tutelage of Solomon Thomas and Peyton Turner for Smith's growth this offseason. He said right now Micah Smith is right at 300 pounds, okay? Like I said, coming out of college, Mozzie Smith was known for his strength, being able to bully people and kind of get up the field a little bit. But now they want him to kind of be a finesser, pass rusher. I don't think that's Mozzie's game. I'm hoping he can grow into that, but it's been a weird thing with Mozzie. Had him lose weight, had to put weight on, have him lose weight again. But they say they want to have him interchangeable, playing the one tech and the three tech as well too. we'll see how that pans out. Also, in my opinion, with that, does that mean Jay Toya is a lock to make this roster? Because he's going to be a true one tech if Mozzie's dropping down in size, getting lighter, going to be playing some of the three technique. Someone's got to be in there to be able to stop the run. So maybe that opens up more snaps for Jay Toya and kind of makes him a lot to make this roster. Or it could be on the flip side. Maybe this defense cares more about stopping the passer, having a great pass rusher, and have a bend don't break philosophy when it comes to stopping the run, which we keep having those troubles stopping the run on this team. Um, Even far as back as before Dan Quinn with that terrible defensive coordinator we had with Mike Nolan. Hell, not even thinking the regime we had with Jason Garrett, we couldn't stop the run with crap either. Okay. All right, so let's move along here. Let's see what else Brian Schottenheimer said. This is on Deron Bland. Brian Schottenheimer says that we'll see Deron Bland play in different spots. The team is still working through the best spots to deploy their former Defensive Player of the Year finalist. Because, a couple years ago, when Deron, he set the record for most pick sixes in the season. Um, I've always said Deron Bland was great in the slot. But it kind of depends what's going to happen here. It depends on how Kyer Elam, comes on because we traded for him and he had his struggles out in Buffalo. How Savone, I'm sorry, I pronounced his name wrong. How Savone comes back from injury, how he's able to get acclimated, as a rookie. Uh, how long Diggs comes back. If they sign another veteran corner, that depends on where Deron is going to play. Me, if I had the choice, I'm putting Deron in the slot. I feel like that's where he's been the most effective is in the slot. Okay. All right. So let's move on to some more of these quotes Coach Schottenheimer had to say. All right. And Brian Schottenheimer says that Sam Williams did not miss a day of rehab, and that they'll be smart with his and John Stephen Jr.'s return to the field at training camp. Well, they were saying yesterday they had to pull Sam Williams out of practice because he was getting chippy. I could think he was excited to be out there. They said he had a couple of dust ups and he was hitting people a little bit too hard already day one, so they had to pull him out a little bit. I guess they had to put a collar on that dog, telling him, slow it down, slow it down. But I'm expecting a big year for Sam Williams. Again, in the video I said, the last video I did, I was like, hey, he could get what I call one of those blue star specials due to his injury and suspensions and things of that nature. He may be one of those guys that would be eager to take a deal now to sure up his future. Um, and possibly he could be a guy that sees a lot of playing time, even though, like I said, that pass rush room, defensive end room is stacked. He's a guy I'm expected to see a lot of playing time. Uh, I don't know, for some reason he didn't get on the field a lot when we had Quinn here. I was excited to see what he was going to do in Zimmer. But like I said, injuries took him out. But let's see what he's able to do. All right, so let's go on to the next quote here. I got so he was talking about Marisol Leofau, which is a guy I liked coming out of the draft last year. And he made a little bit of a name for himself last year on his roster. I feel like he may get some significant playing time due to the injury of DeMarvion Overshawn. Um, so this is what he said about Marisol. Okay, very very good pass rusher, has great strength, great length. He's the kind of player that shows up more when the pads come on because of how he plays. So that's what he was saying about Marisol. A lot of people have already said that about Marisol before. The guy's kind of a thumper. He's a willing tackler, and he's got a good pass rush ability. So I can't wait to see what we see from year two from Marisol. Okay. Brian Schottenheimer on George Pickens. When he's not doubled, he's open. Which Dak has been saying that as well too. Um, I'm looking forward to seeing that because I don't think the Cowboys have had this caliber of a 1-2 punch of receivers since maybe CD and Amari Cooper. That's y'all tell me what y'all think below. What y'all think about this wide receiver duo? Okay. And also, Brian Schottenheimer said this. This is going to be a physical ass camp. Excited to get him out here. And that's what he was talking about again, James Houston, which we talked about a little bit earlier ago. He decided to see what that guy does. Okay. So, well, y'all heard what Coach Shoddy said. Tell me what y'all think below. Comment. What do you think about his press conference? Another thing I want to talk about real quick is, Jerry Jones. Like I said, he had a very spicy opening training camp press conference. Um, he addressed the media about Micah, Trevon Diggs, and things of that nature. We know Jerry is going to be Jerry, but at the end of the day, I think Micah wants to be here. I think Jerry wants Micah to be here. I think the deal's gonna get done. Hopefully sooner rather than later, but I think the deal's gonna get done. People shouldn't get upset about that. Also, Trevon Diggs, yeah, he communicated. They're saying he communicated with the team, that he was doing his own rehab. But and Trevon Diggs, him and Micah had a little press conference with James Slater after the first day of practice. They said what they said. At the end of the day, I hope everything gets resolved. Hopefully, we get the deal done with Micah. Hopefully, Trevon is able to come back, you know, from that injury and be able to perform. Because when you perform, that shuts out all type of doubt. Jerry Jones can't say anything if you're performing at that point. So hopefully, we get those guys, Micah under contract. We get Trevon back as soon as possible. And hopefully this is a great year for our Dallas Cowboys, all right? Hey, again, thank you for taking time to watch out the video. Make sure you're liking, subscribing, following all things Ray Ray's Cowboys, other stuff outside of the Cowboys world at Ray Ray's podcast. Keep tuning in all training camp, all season. You'll be catching me here. Also, you can catch me on the Attack on Cowboys channel periodically throughout the training camp and during the season. Always remember you're loved, you're beautiful, you're needed. You're alive for a reason. You're stronger than you think. Whatever it is you're going through, you're going to get through this. I'm so glad you're alive. And most importantly, don't give up. And most importantly, go Cowboys. We'll catch you out next time. It's your boy Ray.
Hey, get money all day, get money all night. Sip my drink, ho, let's get right.